Disclaimer before you guys watch this video, I'm a little under the weather. I got murdered by a Twix and it's not going to get any better. So my voice is going to be a little off for the duration of this video. Hope you enjoy it either way. The genesis of Genesis supremacy. The starting point of Sonic the Hedgehog. What else could I possibly say about this game that everyone in the world essentially hasn't already said? Well, not much, but I have noticed a shift in the way people talk about this game. People will usually, at least a few years ago, put it up at the top ranks with other Sonic games, with other classic Sonic games, and be like, oh, amazing. Now people kind of say that it isn't. They're like, I mean, it's fine, but I wouldn't go back and play it. What is up with you? Sonic 1 is one of the best classic Sonic games to ever come out. To be fair, I will admit, this is a little warning. I do not really like classic Sonic games. I like 3D Sonic games. But I do like Sonic 1. So here is my review of Sonic 1. Ah, what an iconic song. Everyone knows the intro music to Sonic the Hedgehog. I would honestly defy you to find a more iconic intro, except for maybe the Super Mario Brothers intro. But I don't even know what else to say about it because it's so amazing there's nothing else to be said. So I won't. Let's instead jump into Green Hill Zone Act 1. Just like the starting intro, this level might just be one of the most iconic video game levels to absolutely ever exist. It's so beautifully made that you could just go through it mindlessly and blast through it and have an easy peasy time. But if you're a bit more skilled or want a little bit more challenge, there's some areas to explore. Of course, it is divided into the three paths, upper, middle, and lower. Most Sonic levels are divided this way, with the lower path being more dangerous and slower, the middle path being somewhat fast with a decent amount of enemies, and the upper path having significantly less enemies, and if you're good at it, you'll blast through it faster than any other path. Honestly, this is such an it's not even under talked about, because most people can agree that it's an absolutely amazing game. And yet, people want to try to defy me when they say that Sonic 1 is not an absolute, not masterpiece. It's not a perfect game, but absolutely amazing nonetheless. You get that beautiful music. So let's move on to Act 2. Act 2 and 3, same aesthetic, but added challenge. Now, that's always the best way to do a level that's in the same zone. Like when you're playing a Mario game, if you go into the Sand Kingdom, the first level is going to introduce you to all the sand things. And then as you go, same aesthetic, more difficulty. They pulled that off perfectly here. The average person just starting out might die on the platforming section one or two times. But of course, if you're a MLG pro gamer like me, you'll only die nearly every time. But let's move on past that. Act 3. Same thing. Absolutely amazing. beautifully done. Introduced to the first boss fight of the game. I don't know the name of it. I like to call it the checker ball thingy. Absolutely amazing first boss fight. It's not hard by any means, but you're likely to get hit at least once. And if you're new to the game, you might even die a couple of times. It's a great introduction to a brand new game series, because this is the first one to have ever come out. And I think it's just challenging enough to show you what you need to do when you're new to a game, but also not so difficult that when you have to redo it over and over again because you're inevitably going to die, that you're going to get too frustrated. Marble Zone. One of the two zones in the game that get the most amount of flack. I don't understand the hatred for this zone. People will come in being like, the game's all about speed. This is such a pace breaker to throw in slow platforming. And I'm like, first of all, no. This is the first game in the series. And if the second zone is all about platforming, that should tell you this isn't a game that's all about speed. It's a game that's all about precision. It's all about skill. You gain speed by being good at it. Now, I'm not an amazing player, obviously. I'm a pretty good video game player, but I'm really bad at 2D games. So when I play it, I have some difficulty here and there, but it's really not hard. The only act I usually die on is Act 3, and that's only because there's a vertical section where you might fall all the way down and not have the rings you might need to get back up. But even then, I only die once or twice. It's really not that hard, and those who stop here and say that this is insane, a pace breaker, it's totally stupid, you're just bad. You're just bad at Sonic. There's no accounting for skill in that respect, because this is still an extremely easy platforming section. You might need to take a step back, but there are even things to help you out. There are bubble shields in many areas. You're just being ungrateful, honestly, because the stage design is absolutely perfect in this zone. Now, you may have realized by now that I'm not going to go in depth on every single act for every single zone. From here on, I probably won't specify anything about any specific zone at all, just because there isn't too much to say about the individual zones themselves, more about the individual acts themselves, more about the zones as a whole, because overall is what matters. And yeah, there might be one little section in each act. There might be a slight annoyance, but every game has slight annoyances. Every game has an unfair jump here and there. Every game has especially in the NES and Genesis era, every game had that enemy that was unfairly placed. You know, all these games have these issues, but I think this game does it really well to where not all of the time, especially when you get to like the late levels, but majority of the time, it's fair and it's not completely unpredictable. Springyard Zone. Absolutely fun. There's not even much else to say about it. It's not very hard. It's just an absolute romp. Most important thing that I could probably say, blue hedgehog go boing. What else is there to say? Springyard. It's a giant stage with springs that launch everywhere. Only two things to worry about: the fake hedgehogs that can catch you off guard, and the fact that in the vertical sections, you might be unfairly squashed by a block. But other than that, insanely fun. boss for this section, though. The boss for this section is a little more difficult. See, you have to guide him to the left and make sure he's only taking out the blocks on the left, because if you do the right instead, which is what I did on my first playthrough, you're completely trapped. It's a beginner's trap. Every game has it. It's meant to take some lives so that you'll have to restart the game. But I think that it's a beginner's trap that's only really going to get you once. Still an amazing zone. Personally, probably my favorite. Labyrinth Zone. The one zone that I will absolutely agree with all the hate that it receives. I can't stand Labyrinth Zone. The art design, amazing. The theme, great. The music, beautiful. But it's so unforgiving. Swinging spikes, grounders, fudging underwater physics. It's a mix of things that you don't truly feel prepared for by the time you get to it. And it's just all around completely unfair. But the boss fight is the true quintessential terrible section of this zone. You're climbing up a vertical section, dodging spikes and fireballs while water is chasing you from below, and you have to chase Eggman up to the top. I thought that you had to hit Eggman and kill him before you get to the top. I thought it was an infinitely doing thing. It is not. You just have to chase him up there. And boy, does it get me mad, because I keep dying over and over and over and over and over and over again. You know what? Here's a supercut of every time I died. Starlight Zone. Everyone kind of likes this stage. I think it's alright. It's really, really, really easy. I think it's the easiest zone in original Sonic, but it's just nothing special. I think the music doesn't really match the art, although the music is quite fun. So, not much to say. The boss fight is actually pretty fun. You have to understand the way the spikes and levers work. I think it's a fun boss. I think it's a fun stage. I would recommend. Scrap Brain. I love Scrap Brain. I love the bottomless pits. I love the fact that right at the beginning of Scrap Brain, you can just run into a bottomless pit. It's telling you at this point, come on, you've replayed this game over and over again and you haven't learned to pay attention to what you're doing. It is made for those who play the game. You have two paths. One is more difficult, one is easier, one is slower, one is faster. And at the end of the day, it's all fudging fun. I have nothing else to say about it. The final boss is a bit irritating because you walk in with no rings, and and every attack he does is an instant death move at that point. So I have to retry that boss over and over and over and over and over again. But still extremely fun at the end of the day. I could never hate on Scrap Brain or its final boss. For the final and most important section, in my opinion, in any Sonic game, the music. It's always slapping. It always slaps. So, instead of saying, oh, this music's good for this reason or whatever, I'm just going to put a tier list right now for the way the Sonic music goes in this game. thank you all for watching this section. I'm probably going to have an actual end card. I don't know why I acted like the game's ending right now. Here's the tier list. Alright, this is the third time that I try recording this. Both 2 times. One time my mic didn't work. Second time I forgot to turn on my mic volume. So this is the third time. If it doesn't work this time, I'm giving up. Here is my tier list of the music. I'm sorry if I'm frantic, but I'm tired of re-saying this. Green Hill Zone. It's amazing. Could be better, but it's amazing. Marble Zone. Better than Green Hill Zone. Honestly, so good, I'd put it on my playlist. Springyard Zone. Also going on my playlist. God tier. Not as good as Marble Zone, though. Labyrinth Zone. Better than Green Hill Zone, but not a God tier by any means. Starlight Zone. Pretty good. Nothing special. I'm not a huge fan of it, but, you know, whatever. Scrap Brain Zone. Also amazing. Not as good as Green Hill, though. Boss Music. The worst in the amazing, but still amazing to hear. Special Zone music, like I said the other 2 times, makes me feel like a child who's still in daycare, but I miss my daycare days, so it's going in amazing. Higher than the boss music, and you know what? Higher than Scrap Brain 2. Back to pre-recorded Spencer. Woo! Can we all get a good job for later on Spencer? I don't know how it went. This is obviously recorded before I did the tier list, but everyone say thank you to him. He did a good job. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'm considering making more. I'm probably going to, about other Sonic games, because there are a lot of 2D Sonic games that I actually haven't played, and a couple 3D Sonic games that I haven't beat yet. So as I beat them, I will be coming out with more reviews. I did also beat the special stages. I just didn't want to have to record them, because that means I would have to beat it in this playthrough, and it already took me like 2 hours, like 2.5 hours to beat this playthrough. I didn't want to extend that by like another 30 minutes doing the special stages. But thank you all for watching. I hope you're having a great day. I hope your parents are being cool. If you don't have parents, I hope whoever around you is being cool. I hope that you're having a great time in school or work. I hope things are just going easy for you. And I really, really, at the bottom of my heart, wish you a great day. Goodbye, y'all.